Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. And so I'm going to ask the Paraguay people. I know there's not a lot of people in the audience, but I really do want the Paraguay people to come up here. So if you will make your way up. I am waiting for the Bailey family. They are running about 15 minutes late, so we'll add them as soon as they get here, because that's 5 of them. So we'll be 5 extra. Look at them all go to the back row, just immediately. Chanel, be brave and sit in the front row. Oh, no, she's not. All right. Thank you, Scott. And you want to sit in the front so you can talk? Because there's a mic right there. Okay. Oops, I'm fine. No falling here. Have I got everybody? All right. And then we got 5 Baileys coming, so that fills up almost all the seats. All right. So I think I'm going to just sit.
We should make them move to the front like you made them.
Yeah. Oh, this is nice. I normally have to stand, so I'm glad I have permission to sit. All right, let's bow our heads for a word of prayer as we start this evening. Our dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for all the many blessings you bestow upon us. We are so unworthy, and yet you bless us immeasurably, dear Lord. And one of the tremendous, amazing blessings that you have given to this church is the ability to do mission work. You've given us the resources, both financial and time, people, things, abilities, talents, to go and spread your word. And dear Lord, we just are so grateful for that. As we talk about the Paraguay trip tonight, dear Lord, I pray that this trip will continue to be a blessing and that it will inspire all of us to continue to spread your gospel so that you can come soon. We leave this time in your hands, dear Lord. I ask this in the loving name of Jesus. Amen. All right. So we're going to just do this kind of casual tonight, but we have quite a story to tell. This trip, I would say, I've traveled a lot. I've done a number of mission trips, but I've also done a lot of traveling in my life. And I have never, ever had a trip this hard. This was the hardest trip I've ever taken in my life. And I just am so grateful for this team because we had to put on our flexibility hat. We had to put on our patience hat. We had to pray. We had to have faith. And everybody was amazing, so resilient. I just cannot believe it because it was hard. It was very hard. So we'll tell you a little bit about that. So let's first of all just tell you where we went. Because everybody goes like, Paraguay? Oh yeah, I know where that is. Not. It's not like the normal place you can think about. So if you see there the map of South America, it's basically smack bam in the middle of South America. It's only 1 hour ahead of us, so time zone-wise, that worked really well for us. But it was quite a ways down there. And we flew right over the Amazon basin as we went down there, but that's where we went. And then when we got to Paraguay, we went to Sao Paulo first. We flew into Sao Paulo, and then we changed planes, and we flew into Iguazu Falls Airport, which is in Brazil as well. And Iguazu Falls Airport, I don't know if this is going to let me show you. Yeah, it does. It's right around here in Paraguay. So when you're looking at this, it's sitting just sort of right here. It's right where Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil meet. And so then you fly in there, and then you have about a 5-hour drive by bus to get where we were going, which is the red dot. All right. So this is remote. There's no other way to describe it. It's hard to get to. It's not like, let's just fly in and arrive. This is quite an expedition to get there. So who went? There were 33 of us that went. Not everybody could be here tonight, but we've got a good representation. And as I say, I'm waiting for the Bailey family. That's 5 of them. They're just running a little late, but they'll join us in just a little bit. But of that 33, we had 14 youth and young adult, which is amazing. And you can see a lot of them represented here. Some of them, unfortunately, are back at college and things like that, so I can't have them all here. But yeah, 14 of them. And what a great group of young people. And then we had the rest of the adults, as you can see on that side. We went from 7 years old to 86 years old. So we have our 86-year-old right here, and Dr. Ha did really well with us. And our 7-year-old, I thought she was going to be here, and she may come still. She was like the friendliest kid you've ever met, Deanna Scott, and she did a great job. So hopefully she shows up in just a little bit. And then we had 3 others with us because we had a Maranatha person and 2 translators. So we were really 36, and it was a large group of people. Yeah. So why did we go? So we went for 3 reasons. One, we went to build a church. And you can see there, the top corner there, that is the church as we saw it when we got there. So they had the roof, and they had the floor, and then we had to put up the bricks. So that was what the church looked like when we came there. And you can see at the bottom, and we'll go through this with you a little more, on what the church looked like when we left. We actually got all the walls up. So mission accomplished on that. The top right corner is actually the existing church, and I'll show you a better picture of that. That's the church they were meeting in. It's on the back of the property. It's hard to tell from here, but the roof on this church is absolutely horrendous. It's basically falling in. And they were meeting sort of on the left side of the church, and it's in a room that probably at best could hold 20 people, at best. And they had 20 members. So in other words, they had no ability to grow. So that's why this church is so important, because there was no ability for them to grow at all when they were meeting. So now they'll be able to use that for some Sabbath school rooms when they meet in the church. We also went to share Jesus with the children. We went to do VBS in the school, and we'll tell you a little more about that. But it's always so rewarding to see these kids. And Lauren did a great job of leading out with that, and we had some great leaders in the group here that worked with us with the children, and we did work with that. So we'll tell you a little bit about that. And then we went to worship together. We wanted to worship with the church. We wanted to worship with each other, and we got to accomplish that. You can see us worshiping here in the church on the last Sabbath, because we actually got to worship in the church. But the bottom right picture there, because, and I'll tell you the story of why we got there very late. We got there very, very much later than expected, and so we didn't get to worship with the church before we started building. And so we asked them on the Sunday morning, because we missed Sabbath, unfortunately, and I'll explain why. So we asked them to come and join us on Sunday morning before we started building at 10 o'clock. We said, can you come and meet with us? Let's do a dedication service for the week. Let's all meet you. And so that picture down the bottom there is the church and us all meeting at the property before we started building. And that was really, really great. And then Ewan preached. Where's Ewan? Huh? Oh, he's not here. Okay, Ewan preached for us, which was wonderful. And then we also did a little bit of a Pathfinder situation. They're very much into their Pathfinders and adventures. Oh, there we go, Bailey family. Come on in. I can shift it. Oh, well, everybody can sit around me. And we did a nice little, yeah, please, front seat. Nice little Pathfinder ceremony with them, and that was really great. And then the youth, which we had, good, great, excellent. I feel back at home now. The youth would lead out in some of our meetings, and I just wanted to play you a little bit of their singing, so you could see us actually worshiping together. Oh yeah, I had to include this.
You were my all.
get the idea. It was really nice to have everybody lead out for us, and we ended up worshiping together, which is always great to build bonds with each other as we're there. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about behind the scenes before we get into the building. And so what we'll go over with you is the building of the church. We'll go over with you the VBS we did, and we'll also show you the excursion we did. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of background. So the three leaders for the trip was myself, leading the logistics, etc., Lauren, being the spiritual leader for the trip, and also being the parent for some of our unaccompanied minors. I was the second in command parent, which wasn't needed very often, so that was good. She was the primary parent. And then Scott, who's hiding somewhere. Oh, there he is. Scott doing the construction for us. So this is Jacqueline. She was our Maranatha person that came with us, and she's in Paraguay. She does work there, and she was an incredible help to us, particularly with the language. So you have to understand, Paraguay is very different than some of the countries in South America. It's been very closed. It's been very much a totalitarian. Oh, great. Got a couple more. Excellent. And here's our 7-year-old. So we had a 7-year-old and the 86-year-old. So that was us. Come on, there's room. There is room. Come on up. Paraguay has been closed for a long time and has had very much of a totalitarian government, and they've really only been open for maybe, 7, 8 years. That it's really been freer than not. So it's not one of those places that has a lot of tourism. Nobody speaks English. Nobody speaks English. They barely speak Spanish. They sort of understand Portuguese a little bit because they're close to Brazil, but they speak this local language, Guarani or something. It's interesting, so it was good to have a local with us. That was our bus. Not a lot of luxury buses in Paraguay, and you have to rent in Paraguay. You're not allowed to rent in Brazil and take it to Paraguay. You've got to rent in Paraguay. Very confusing, but nonetheless. Beautiful roads, though. This was our drive every morning to the site, 25 minutes on a beautiful tarred road. You couldn't ask for anything better. We've had trips where we haven't had that luxury. The other thing about Paraguay that was very surprising to me, and I think to the rest of the team too, and guys, please speak up if there's anything you want to add here, is it was super clean. I mean, just spotlessly clean. Not a rich country. You could see the poverty, but it was not dirt poverty. It was very clean. Look at those roads. You don't see litter. You'll often see it as very flat, a lot of corn. You'd think you were in Kansas if you just drove around.
It looked like Minnesota. Like some of the drives in the bus when we were going, I was like, finally, because I haven't been home in a few years, so.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it felt that way, and you can just see it's just spotlessly clean. We were really, really surprised by that. This is the hotel we stayed in, so just note to all of you, if you are thinking of going on a mission trip, if you go on a mission trip that I lead, you will not slum it, not badly anyhow. I will try and get you somewhere nice to stay. It won't be 5-star, it won't be 4-star. May not even be 3-star, but it will not be a tent. I don't camp. It's not. I'm too old for that now. So, but this is the hotel we stayed in, and you can see there was a pool and everything, and they did a bit of a cold plunge one night. Nice rooms. They were comfortable. Just beds as hard as rocks, but they were fine. They were nice beds, and there was hot water, and we were good. Food. We did a wonderful food. We had a lady, actually a couple that Scott knew out of Sao Paulo. She works at a vegan restaurant in Sao Paulo, and her husband came over by bus, and they cooked for us. And boy, they did such a nice job. The food was excellent, and we were very blessed to have Tyson and Deborah with us to do that. So let me talk a little bit about the trials. I don't know how else to put it, and people can add again to this, but the devil was working overtime on this trip from the very beginning. There is something about this place and what we were doing that he did not want to have happen. And I don't know what it is, and we may never know. Maybe we'll know one day when we get to heaven. but I don't know if there's a child in that school or there's somebody in that community that's going to go to that church or something. But there is something very, very special about this place because this was crazy. I mean, okay, I'll tell you. I mean, it just was bizarre what happened to us. And so first of all, the first thing to take note of is when the International Committee decided they wanted to go to Paraguay, and they said, Paraguay sounds very exotic, we haven't been there, let's try that, let's go to Paraguay. I called Maranatha and I was speaking to Lissandro, and he said, okay, well, there's two places. There's one near Ascension, and then there's this one that he told me it was 3 hours north of Iguazu Falls. That's really not true because it's more like 5 hours north of Iguazu Falls, but whatever. And he said, but I really need you in that more remote location, but let me get back with you. And so we leave it in God's hands. We never say, okay, we just leave it in God's hands and let him lead. And he led us to this location, which is very difficult to get to because you're flying into tiny airports, etc. And what he told me was, he says, we really need you there because we've had a number of groups that have tried to get there and have never gotten there. Okay. So I just sort of ignored that comment. I thought it was interesting, not knowing that it was sort of my first warning. Danger, danger. But anyhow, and when we got there, we could see that roof, I mean, Scott, you saw, that roof had been up there for a while. That church had been waiting for a while, maybe 2 years. I mean, it had been waiting for a while, and people couldn't get there for various reasons. So that was number one. The devil had already stopped groups from going there. Number two was, and I know a lot of you had heard Doug say there's some logistical, he prayed the Sabbath before, there's some logistical things that aren't, and everybody's like, I wonder what's going on. We're praying for the trip, and he's saying there's logistical issues. Well, the big logistical issue was 1 week before we went, the VBS location got canceled on us. So we were supposed to go to a school that was maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from the church in the same town. And they called us and told us that the administrator for that area had refused to let us into the school, even though it had all been set for a number of months.
And it was like, how many kids was it supposed to be? It was a large number. 150 kids. And we already had prepared all
everything.
Of the kits and counted through all the supplies and everything for 150.
Yeah. And we'd done it by age group. I mean, we were just totally set, right? And boom, can't go there. And the church said to us, well, we'll look for an alternative and we'll let you know. And I waited every day. Nothing yet. We leave to go. I still don't have a VBS location. Now, I've got people here, like Kezia and her sister.
There was like 12 of us that were going to be at the VBS only. Like, that's what we were planning.
That's what their main reason for going. And I'm like, dear Lord, we're going, but I don't know what I'm going to do with these people. I don't know if they want to do construction, but we're ready for VBS if we can do it. And we get there, and we're there the Sunday, and I start going around to places that the church has sort of found for us, and they were horrible. I mean, they were just dreadful locations, and every time I walked in somewhere, it's like God said, no. And I get to the end of Sunday. We're supposed to start VBS on Monday, and I don't have a location for VBS. So Sunday night, we're praying about it. Sunday night, the Maranatha lady said to me, there is one school, and it's about 5 minutes away from the church. Now, why this hadn't been on the radar before, I don't know. There's always reasons for everything. But here's this school. It only had 80 children, not 150, it was 80. And she said, the principal will see you at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, when I tell you what time we got there, that was quite a thing, because it was 30 minutes away. So I said, I'll be there. So I go see him at 7 a.m., and he says to me, I have to ask the administrator if it's okay, but I'll get back to you by 9:30. So 9:30 he calls, and he says, you have to come and see me at 10. He wouldn't tell us over the phone. Very stern guy, extremely stern. And I'm thinking, he's just going to try and let me down lightly at 10, but I'll go. And so now all the people are on the work site because, no VBS on Monday. This is Monday. And anyhow, I get there at 10, and he says, you were refused at another school, right? He says, the administrator told me. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. And he says, but that's okay. He says, I told her we really needed you, and so you can come to our school. And the reality is that school was the best place we could have done VBS because it's 5 minutes from the church. And they were so open to us and just so welcoming and so loving that I do think that is the best synergy we could ever have hoped for. The other school was maybe just a little too far away, and they were really good to us and just really open. And so we'll show you some pictures of that. So, so God took a situation where I thought we were set, the devil closes the door, and he opens another one. And it's actually a miracle we got into that school because the predominant church in Paraguay, and I won't mention what it is, but you probably could guess, is extremely controlling. And the priests will punish people if they don't do what they want them to do. And I think that's what happened at the previous school. But this principal, he wasn't taking any of it, and I was really proud of him for that. He got 2 ice creams a day because of that, so that was great. And then getting there, guys, this is a crazy story. I've never had this happen to me before. So we had our flights booked for Thursday at 7 p.m., and we were all ready to go. We booked on Delta, but we were flying on LATAM, right? So you know how that partnership works. But they were Delta tickets. So that morning, Stan calls me and he says, Belinda, did you see, I hadn't looked at anything yet. He said, they're telling us our flight is delayed. It's only going at midnight. So I go online, lo and behold, it's telling me the flight's delayed, the flight's delayed. I'm getting texts, I'm getting emails. The website's telling me, the app's telling me, everything's telling me the flight is delayed, we're only leaving at midnight. So I called Delta because we had to change our connecting flights. But now, guys, there's 28 of us, because 5 were ahead of us. There's 28 of us, so 28 tickets you got to change. I spent 2 hours on the phone with Delta changing those connecting flights. At no time did they say anything to me about the flight not being delayed. It was the flight was delayed, we have to change your bookings. And so I changed everything. Big deal. We get to the airport. You just cannot even believe this stuff. We get to the airport and the flight was never delayed. It was a glitch in the Delta system. And the flight had left without us. So here's 28 of us at the airport with all a multitude of luggage, and there's no plane. Now think about that. When there's 2 of you and that happens, and you got to rebook, it's horrible. There's 28 of us. Okay, think about that for a second. It just blows your mind. Delta still doesn't know what happened. And it was only us. And it was only us.
And then you have teenagers showing up and we're like, go back home.
Yeah.
They're all like excited for this big mission trip. And we're like, no, we're going home. Like they didn't even believe me on the phone. Like they're like, you're lying. And we're like, I wish.
Yeah. So I sent everybody home. I stayed at the airport to try and rebook 28 people to get to a very remote location in Paraguay. I mean, it's just crazy, right? So we ended up 5 flying the next night direct. They were the lucky ones. The rest of us, the 23 of us, had to get to Atlanta to take a flight out the next night out of Atlanta. But to get to Atlanta, they put us on 4 or 5 different flights. So we had to leave at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And it was the first day of school vacation. And so the guy said, if you're not here at the airport at 3:30 a.m., you're going to have problems. So everybody left at like 10, and they had to be back by 3:30, so that we could go spend a whole day in Atlanta just hanging out to take the flight the next night. And then, so that's just craziness, right? The fact that even could find us flights is a miracle, and praise the Lord for that. And again, God's hand was in that because we did get flights. Then the 23 of us arrived in Sao Paulo with our connection flights supposedly just fine, And we go, it's the first time in Brazil, so you've got to take out all your luggage, and then you've got to go recheck it. And we get to the recheck area, and they go, oh, sorry, you got to be here a lot earlier to recheck your luggage for a connecting flight like this. Sorry, you got to reschedule. So now we're in Sao Paulo, 23 of us, needing to reschedule on these not very big planes that fly from Sao Paulo to Iguazu Falls. We basically take up half the plane. But we all got on the same flight a few hours later. But I will tell you, this group is experts at waiting in airports. We are very good at finding healthy airport food. We're also very good at, the kids are great at games and keeping themselves entertained. And the other thing I found that they sure know how to sleep anywhere. I need somewhere comfortable, they just pass out. But I was so proud of everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. So we got, yeah. So we got to our hotel at 1 a.m. on the Sunday morning. We were supposed to get there at 6 p.m. on Friday. And we got there at 1 a.m. on Sunday. All right, so just think about that. I mean, it's just exhausted, just exhausted. And I asked the team, because we were supposed to start work at 8:30, and I said to them, what do you want to do? Do we start a little later? Do we call it a day and just rest tomorrow and start on Monday? And they were like, absolutely not, we're working tomorrow. We are going to the construction site. Can you just give us an extra half an hour sleep? So we leave at 9, not at 8:30. And then, we'll meet the group there, and that's what we did. And they worked the whole day. Actually, we got a lot of work done on Sunday. But just crazy, guys. A delayed flight, but it's not delayed. I still don't understand. It's very bizarre. So 36 hours later, we get there, and Scott will talk about it as well, and I'm not bashing the Maranatha crew, but we got a crew that was not as experienced as we used to. They really couldn't keep up with all 33 of us, so it really slowed things down a little bit, so we had to really work. And we had a huge language barrier, no English at all. So you have construction supervisor, a construction crew of 3 people, and none of them speak English. So that was very interesting, to say the least. And then, maybe we'll talk about this later, because we need to get on to some other things. You've heard me enough. But then, when we came back from our excursion, we had some of our members that were denied entry back into Paraguay. So that was the next shoe to drop. 5 of our people that was on a Jamaican passport had to have a visa for Paraguay, and they did. But they didn't like the visa they had, and they said, sorry, you got to go back to Brazil. This is the middle of the week, and we needed them. So I won't go into details, but we smuggled them in and out of Paraguay, and we were not leaving them behind. We got very, very creative, and I thought Melissa was going to lose her mind. All I remember is Melissa calling me as they got across the border and just saying, all she got out of her mouth was, Belinda, and then she just burst out crying, right? Yeah. But yeah, the devil was even trying to get some of our great workers to not get back with us, which is just crazy. And then our bus broke down in the middle of the night on the way back. But that's, so these are the kind of things that were thrown at us. And I don't even know, I think I've missed some of the craziest, but these are the things that were thrown our way. And yet, here's the great part, is no injuries, not a single injury, right? And we all got back safely. And not only that, we got the mission accomplished. Praise the Lord for that, yeah. So I think God knew this was the right team, and he used every member of this team to make it happen, and we're just extremely grateful for that. So, all right, so I'm going to let Scott talk a little bit about building a church. Do you want to talk to them about the church a little bit?
So when we got there, just to back up, Maranatha comes in and puts kind of the skeleton up, which is what you see there, which is a slab and the steel structure, and this time they had a roof on, which we don't always have, but it was a little more difficult, but not bad. And then we put the blocks up, and I'm always amazed at a group of 20, 30 people with very little, if any, most of it has none experience, can get together and make this happen, but it happens.
Yeah.
So, you know, so proud of the kids. They worked hard, and just so you see, there's steel come up. Maranatha engineers a very, very secure building. There's steel every 4 feet horizontal or vertically, and every 4 courses horizontally. And then we pour concrete at every course where there's steel. So it's very, very. We don't even do that here in Florida. So it's very sound. Hurricanes or whatever might hit there. This is a very safe building for them. And so anyhow, everybody pitched in, laid block, mixed mud, carried mud. The first day with 30 people.
Good Lauren there. She's just trying to prove that she's strong.
It literally is easier to hold it that way. My arms were locked out.
But all the kids had the best attitude, and they really worked hard. And Stan got us refreshments every day.
Yeah.
And anyhow, like I say, I'm amazed at the lack of experience can get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And really by Wednesday afternoon, they had excursion on Wednesday. I'm thinking we're not going to get this thing. There's not a compulsion to finish it, but Belinda always wants to.
Yeah, blame me.
And as a group, you just want to see it.
You want to
see it done.
finish.
So
You want to finish.
that's certainly everybody's goal. But Thursday morning, I'm thinking, I don't know, man. I don't see how this is going to work. But Thursday, I literally think a miracle happened. We had so much progress on Thursday,
Yeah.
and then we were able to wrap up Friday a bit early, even. So it was incredible, the progress that we made.
So this shows you, Scott, you want to explain the pouring of the concrete like that?
Yeah, so like I said, every 4th course you have to pour a concrete layer, and they mix them and put it in buckets, and you know, as it gets higher, it gets more difficult because you're up on scaffolding and handing buckets and so on.
So
But
now you're up on scaffolding.
it's quite a process.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can see the scaffolding gets higher and higher. Then I don't get
Yeah.
up there anymore. I don't walk up there. Yeah, it's not happening.
And it's not, I mean, we're in a third world country, so that we don't have the safety standards down there that they have here. And so it's a miracle that everybody was safely back home, for sure.
Yep. But to think about it, this is 1 week. Actually, 5 days, because you do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And it's a lot, because you got to, do the windows, and and there's some interior walls we did as well. So, yeah.
But this trip was very pleasant. The weather was absolutely perfect.
fabulous.
I mean, most of them we've been on have been 100 degrees or something, but this was a wonderful.
Yeah, low 80s. I think it was
environment,
low 80s, high 70s, so it was beautiful weather. Yeah. Yep. So there you can see, I think that's Mark Beckner and Neil. I think it was the two of you, right? Or is it Scott?
Scott.
Okay, doing the last block up there. So that was the last block. And then here's Deanna, but everybody wrote their name on the wall. So we always leave the names on the wall when they leave, and she did that. Yeah. We good? Anybody else want to say anything about construction?
Well, one thing I don't know if you mentioned, we didn't mention earlier, but there's no windows or doors, as you can see, in the building.
Yeah.
And we were able to fund that for them.
Yeah.
Belinda went out, purchased the windows, the doors, and the installation of them. And so I'm assuming it got done by this time. But so they were able to actually have a church that they could meet in and be protected in.
Yeah. So each union has an agreement with Maranatha that's slightly different. So like in the Dominican Republic where we went last year, the agreement is that they finish the church completely. They plaster, they paint, they windows, doors, they do the tile floor, they do everything, lighting, everything. And that's just the agreement in the Dominican. But here in Paraguay, the agreement with Maranatha is this is what the church members get. They get what you see here. So they get a floor and the walls, And all the plumbing's plumbed, but no plumbing fixtures. All the electric wires are there, but no electric fixtures, and they have to finish it. That's the church's responsibility. Well, for a church of 20 people in a very poor area of Paraguay, that's a huge task for them to finish this church. And when Scott and I had been there in April, we just had said, wow, we just wish we could help them, but we don't know how. Because, guys, I want you to remember, when we do a Maranatha trip, the church gives Maranatha about $15,000 towards the materials of that church. So we're already giving $15,000. Then everybody here is paying to go there, right? I mean, this is a very, very expensive endeavor. And then to say, now we need to give more, it was just a lot to ask, and we weren't sure if we could do that. But here again, the Lord blessed us so incredibly. We had quoted everybody what the trip would cost, and everybody had agreed on that, and then we came in way under budget. I guess I'm just very stingy with money. And a lot of the savings was Deborah and Tyson cooking for us. They just did amazing food, but they cooked it from scratch. Everything was just from, basic ingredients, which didn't cost very much. And so we saved a lot of money. And so, as Scott said, this is what we were able to do. We had another $6,500 that we took, and it goes far in Paraguay. And what I was able to do on the last day I was there, I went and bought the windows and the doors and paid for the guy to install them. So not only did they get the windows and doors, but he was going to install them. We bought all the tile for the floor and paid for a guy to install it. The garden wall was going to fall, so we paid for a guy to come and straighten it and make it strengthened. Bought the 2 toilets, the 2 sinks, and all of the plumbing fixtures that they needed to make the bathrooms work. And then one of our members also paid for them to have lighting and fans. So all of that, we left that money, well, we didn't leave the money with them, I left the contracts with them, and the head elder was going to oversee that all of that happened. So then what they needed to do, the only thing they need to do on their own then is plaster the walls, paint, and that's about what they needed to do on their own, which I think was very doable for a congregation of 20. So we were just so delighted to be able to do that. So another blessing from God. So even though this was just such an incredibly hard trip, the fact that we could do that as well is just amazing. Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about the excursion. So I don't know if any of you, has anybody been to Iguazu Falls you have? Okay. You know it's incredible, right? It's one of the most incredible places on this planet. I have been to the Victoria Falls, I've been to the Niagara Falls. I've been here 3 times now to Iguazu, and it still impresses me every time. So if you ever have a chance, this is an amazing place. And we got to spend a little bit of Sabbath on the Brazilian side, and then on the Wednesday we went to the Argentinian side. So it's at where Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina meet. That's where the falls are. So one side of them is in Brazil, and one side is in Argentina. And so if you go to the Brazilian side, and this picture is taken from the Brazilian side, you get a feel for the size of the falls, because they're vast. So they are the widest falls in the world, but they are huge. Not only are they just wide, they're also very high, and just the volume of water is incredible. Niagara Falls has the most water coming over it, so that's its claim to fame. Victoria Falls are supposedly the highest, although now Angel Falls in Venezuela is trying to say they are, but I think it's by like 2 inches or something. But Victoria is high. This is wide. It's almost in a question mark shape. And I don't know, did you guys enjoy that expedition? Yeah. I mean, there is no way that these pictures capture it, but we went to the Brazilian side first, and this is just, you can start seeing, I mean, this is one part of them, and then this is another part, and they go on and on and on. They're just huge. You walk sort of out here, this is on the Brazilian side, onto these decks, and then you can sort of see back into the sort of the top part of the question mark, if you want to look at it that way. And it just gives you, just the scope is incredible. And then you can see back into that question mark, and I don't know if you can, it's hard to see, but there's people standing up here. Do you guys see that? That's the Argentinian side of the falls. So you down here on the Brazilian side looking up, okay? And then the next time we went, we went up here to where, so you get an idea of height. I mean, this is huge, right? You're with me? Okay. So I don't want you to think they're small, they're enormous, because the pictures just, you can't explain. All right, so that's the Brazilian side, and then we went to the Argentinian side. So on the Argentinian side, you walk on these walkways, you can see, and you walk, I don't know, maybe a mile or so, on this walkway out to that lookout point. And it's called Devil's Throat, because the water just, in the one area, just really just falls down. They call it Devil's Throat. We'd had enough of the devil already, but we did go see Devil's Throat. And, anyhow, and then as you get closer, you can see how you're standing on this walkway, and the falls are falling below you. Do you sort of get that? You see what I'm talking about? So you can see how you're standing above, and the falls are literally falling below you, right, guys? I mean, there's no other way to put it. They would never build this in the United States. Let's just be clear. I don't think you're going to find this on the Niagara Falls, okay? It's just bizarre that you're standing right there. Okay, I don't know how else to describe it. And you just see these falls are just amazing. You can see now I'm looking down, the question marks above me, and now we're looking down. You can see they just go on and on and on. It's just huge, just huge. I don't know, those that have gone, I can't capture this on a photo. It's just impossible. I mean, you know what it looks like. It's pretty incredible. You can see us standing here and looking down. Yeah, question?
It's not a question, but if you look on YouTube this week, it has so much flooding that all those
Yeah.
paths are closed now.
Yeah. They'll, as soon as the water gets too close up. Yeah, and I have actually been there when it's been in flood, and it's an adrenaline rush, I'll tell you. It's actually an adrenaline rush just being there, period. But yeah. I'm going to try and show you a video to try and capture a little bit of it. This is my amateur video. I'm going to show you two. I'm going to start with you. Yeah. I mean, you could, yeah. I mean, it's, and you get pretty wet. It's pretty wet too. But yeah, you are, so what I always say to people is the Brazilian side is awesome because you get to see the scope of the falls and you're amazed and you're wowed at the size. But the Argentinian side is like an adrenaline rush because then you're almost part of the falls. I mean, you're right there. It's quite something. So I'll show you the video. Again, it's my amateur, but you can see here the river comes along, and then you can see Devil's Throat up at the top. It's hard to just tell you the power. The power is unbelievable. And then you can see how people are standing here. That's the water across the way, and then the water is dropping below us as well. It's hard to capture. And then I'll show you the other side. This is now across the way from us. It's just huge. It's enormous. But you can just hear the power of that water. If that stand breaks, you're dead. I mean, let's just be clear. There's nowhere to hang on to. Yeah. Anyhow, my amateur video, but God's creation is just awesome. I mean, this is just awesome. One of the most incredible places.
The Argentina side was the side that we saw weird giant squirrel antler eater things.
Yeah.
and monkeys and a toucan, which
toucan.
previously I had thought were only cartoons. They're real.
Yeah.
It's weird to see what you didn't realize in your brain you thought was a cartoon, and then it's flying in the sky. And I was like, oh, I thought those weren't, they're
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, we saw
But the Argentinian side,
Yeah.
we saw a lot more
Yeah, quite a lot
wildlife,
of stuff.
like bucket list things.
Yeah, that's true. Things you really only see in South America was really cool. Yeah. Anybody else want to comment on the falls?
Yes. I remember saying to my wife that when I got there and I really looked at it, I was saying to her that it's very difficult to capture this,
Impossible.
to show someone. The video does not do justice. When you stand there, you're in awe.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is what God created?
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. The video,
just
there's
can't.
no video that can capture
Nothing.
everything.
No.
And so it would be difficult to show you that, but we were in awe. I was amazed at what
Yeah.
I saw. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So it was a long way to get there, a long day, because remember we were 5 hours away, so we had to drive 5 hours there, 5 hours back in one day, and see the falls. But it was worth it. Yeah. Yeah, even though we had to smuggle a couple of people back in and out on that particular day, which again, we won't let the Paraguayan government know that. Although the Brazilian government does know, and they just went, oh, sort of Paraguay at it again. They didn't even bat an eye that they had been denied into Paraguay and just let them right through because they were like, oh, yeah, Paraguay. It was whatever. So, interesting. Yeah, of course. Go right ahead, Mikkel.
I was especially surprised, like, when we got, it was on the excursion day. We got to the place, the food was amazing. I know a lot of the youth were happy because they actually served meat.
I had them eating vegetarian at the hotel, so yeah.
But it was absolutely beautiful. I feel like the most thrilling part wasn't the falls for me. It was just getting to, share the experience with everybody. The most exciting part was when we had an animal attack on the train by one of the
Yes.
raccoon things.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
weird raccoon things.
The raccoon with the tail. Big, weird tail, yes, we did.
They were like running over the train or
Yes,
something, and
yeah.
everyone was jumping and screaming. These things were not scared of you. I still don't know what they're called. Nancy, you know. Peluches.
Coate.
See, no one knows what they're called. Hearing multiple names.
It's like a raccoon
Coate.
anteater
But they just
thing.
come and pick stuff right out of your pocket, like whatever, looking for food. First they were cute, and then we were like, okay.
Sorry, I should have put a picture in of that, but I didn't. I forgot.
Yeah, they were fighting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's just proof that we were all there, all of us. There we are. What
This
a
is
handsome
after we
group.
didn't sleep, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, like the airport, we had to go back home, then we came back, and then we were, oh, this is
This is
Argentina.
Argentina.
Okay, the
This is
first side,
Argentina.
we just went straight there.
Yeah.
We didn't actually sleep at all.
Yeah, we didn't. That's correct.
And it
'Cause
was
we couldn't
great.
do both sides on the same day, so yeah, we did that on the way in. Yep. All right. So, oops. All right, Lauren, do you want to talk a little bit about Vacation Bible School?
Yeah, so the school that we did end up going to, it was one school, they had a lot of kids there, and so we'd have a certain group of kids in the morning and then another group in the afternoon. And so we would go back to the church and work and eat lunch with them, and then we would work in between, and then we would go back to the school about 3 and work until, I think, 5, or do VBS for about 90 minutes or so. And so we had multiple groups of us because we had to go 2 different times. We kind of split, and we'd have some of us go in the morning, and then the afternoon session, some of the people would stay, and they enjoyed the building because we had done it, Sunday and Monday. And so by the time we started VBS, everyone's like, well, I was kind of enjoying that. I want to do both. And so we had alternating groups at each VBS, which made it interesting to have, do the same program because everyone's relearning it. But it was really great. The kids, we would sit outside. It was nice to have shade, even though, like he had said, the weather was perfect. If you guys have been on these trips before and it's 100 degrees and you're trying to lay block, it's awful.
Beautiful.
But this was dreamy, and there was a roof. So each room, we had 4 classrooms. So there were Kezia and her sister, Nalini.
She's not here, but
Okay, so, Nalini they led one of the classes. I think, I don't know if we're all here. Anelia led one. We all had different groups. Angie took, none of them are here, or Angie's not. So they each had a classroom that they would lead in, and then we assigned them helpers. And so it was really cool to see some of the high schoolers who had gone to Dominican Republic last year. Like you can see in that picture, Milan too. They had led out on these same lessons, and so it was nice to see them elevate to now being the instructors, and it was great. So we ended up doing 3 days. Again, when we're talking about setbacks for the church, I don't know what the communication error was, but the last day we were told that they had a field trip day, and so they would only have half a day of school. So we took a smaller group, and we went there, and there were no kids there. They're like, we don't have school today, and no kids were there. The bus left, and so we have your dad, and we're trying to walk the 5-minute drive, but when you're walking, we all tried to walk back from the school.
But then we had them in the afternoon, a whole lot in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, the principal worked with us and said that even though it wasn't school, he would have all the kids come in the afternoon. So we ended up regrouping and came back in the afternoon, and they all came back after school. So it was just a sweet time. You guys know that we were bringing all these Beanie Babies. They loved the Beanie Babies. We would pull out the tag. They immediately took off the plastic tag that we're keeping for for it to make money someday. Immediately pull that off, and they're about to tear off the tags, and we're telling them there's a name in there and a birthday, and the kids loved these Beanie Babies. That was a highlight for them.
And we actually put a lot of stuff in the bag. Do you want to tell them what we had in
So
the
in each bag, I hope I can remember everything, but each bag we gave them a box of colored pencils. We would give them scissors, glue,
coloring book.
Oh, we had a coloring book that we have with the Bible stories. Some of them are the ones that we're covering. Some of the ones, luckily, we didn't get to cover.
A Beanie Baby, and then we gave them a toothbrush and toothpaste, because we had been told by the previous principal that most children in the school, they have one toothbrush at home for all the kids to use, right? So they were actually really excited about their toothbrush and toothpaste.
One of the days we were going to teach them, if we would have had all 5, was going to be how to use the toothbrush and the health day, but we didn't get to teach that one.
And then we gave them a little washcloth and some soap and a little sharpener, and I think that was about it.
I feel like there was more. There was a lot.
Yeah.
These bags were like Christmas.
Oh, and sunglasses. We gave them
Sunglasses. We played soccer with those on the last day.
Yeah.
They didn't have the greatest visibility, but we looked really cool.
They're the real cheap ones,
Yes.
but they love them. They love them.
Tamara. No. Shockingly, let's keep thinking of things we didn't have a hard time with.
So that was
That
a real
sounds like a fun
blessing.
game.
Actually, what I did is I pre-packaged all the bags, and I gave, because we were 33, it was nice to spread them, and I think I gave everybody 4 or 5 bags to put in their suitcase, and so we did it that way. Yeah, and it worked. Yeah.
I'm not sure what else.
Look at them with their Beanie Babies. They just love their Beanie Babies. I mean, that is, and it doesn't matter what age. Here, I just want to show you. You see the little boy, not the one with the ball, but the other one with the blue shirt. You see he's got his Beanie Baby on his shoulder? I mean, so this is like an older boy, which you're thinking, oh, they're not going to want a Beanie Baby. Oh, no, he's playing soccer with his Beanie Baby on his shoulder, right? It's just crazy, yeah. And Stan got us the balls. Thank you, Stan, wherever Stan is. And, they loved the soccer balls. They just loved the soccer balls, yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, all the goals. And then we gave them ice cream.
Every day we ended with a treat. The first day we gave the morning group the treat, and they were supposed to have lunch, so they had some lunch ladies that had prepared it. We didn't know they ate there, so it was a little bit of a kerfuffle because we gave them dessert, and then they all were done. But we learned, and they just loved the treat. All the kids, if we ever came back, so they had puppies. That was a highlight, I think, for us. The house, literally, there was just a fence between the yard that we were playing in and this house, and so puppies and the mom dog would crawl under the fence. So I'm trying to do worship, by the way. I'm trying to sing, tell a little Jesus story, and there's puppies crawling around the floor. And kids and teenagers. So I'm like trying to tell them, like, ignore the puppies. And they're like, we're trying to keep the kids away from the puppies by holding them ourselves. And I was like, that's not working. But they had that was a highlight for us, just to be able to see the puppies. And if we ever came over, like, the day that no one was there, the morning time, just playing with the puppies and holding them, and then all the kids would show up and play. That was a highlight, right, you guys?
Yeah, and as I say, when we brought the ice cream in for the kids every day, the principal had to get one in the morning and one in the afternoon. He got 2 a day. That was really important. So talking about the principal, you can see him here. This was a photo he insisted on taking with me. And he actually sent these to me from his phone. He wanted a picture with the soccer balls that we brought them. We actually brought 6 of them, but we did 3 for the morning, 3 for the afternoon. And then we took chalk. They still use chalk. I say chalk. They still have chalkboards. And so that was one thing that they were struggling to get. We knew that from a previous school, so we took them quite a bit of chalk. And then Stan also brought the one that you can write on the concrete, the big boxes. But the teachers just loved that to draw things on the board because it's nice, big, thick chalk. So that was them taking those pictures. He really warmed up to all of us big time, the principal. So, anybody else for anything on BBS?
A lot of my BBS people are not.
So that's sort of the end of our slides. Mission accomplished. This is us on the last Sabbath, just before we left, because we left straight from here and then had to drive all the way back to Brazil to take our flight on Sunday morning, very early. We just are so grateful to God for what we could accomplish there. And so I don't know who all wants to say anything about any experience they've had before we close out.
I thought of one more thing from VBS. I feel like, we understand here at Markham Woods the importance and the value in VBS. We do a big old thing, and these kids make all these decisions. Some of the, intentionally when we created, and I worked with Margaret Hess a couple of years ago, we kind of picked out what stories we wanted to do. A lot of the countries that we're going to are predominantly Catholic. And so we specifically were picking things that we know would kind of teach them that God is that Jesus is their shepherd, that he wants time with them, that he's accessible to them. And the second day, or the last day, one of the older girls, she had made this little piece of artwork. She had stickers on it and stuff, and she was writing in English how she had chosen she loved Jesus with all of her heart, and she was going to follow him her whole life. And she made it look so beautiful, and it was like this decorative plaque that she had. And so I was, with the translating issue or whatever, all I could read was what she had written in English, so I didn't know if it was a new decision or not. But she was so proud of that, and she was showing everybody. And I was just like, I think she was in 6th grade, maybe. But you could tell a lot of the girls would follow her throughout the week. She had influence and things. And so it's just really cool to have those little moments that you see. And sorry, I never told any of you that. Surprise. No. It was super cute.
Yeah, we did Jesus Has Time for Me, the first one, and then the second one was the Good Shepherd.
Yeah, we did the Good Shepherd, and we did Zacchaeus.
And then Zacchaeus on the last day. Yep. And they, of course, love getting their little gold coins because we give them all a gold coin on the Zacchaeus day. So, yes.
I just wanted to go back to a little of the challenges that we faced, the obstacles. For my family, we made a commitment to go on a mission trip. I must say that it was actually me. I was the one who was supposed to be on a mission trip. But initially from last year, I thought, and I said to Melissa that, I think that this mission trip would change my children's life. Because the experience that they would garner there, I don't see how you'd come away the same. And so we embarked on doing the mission trip. I must say, from day one, we started having challenges.
Yep.
When we were told that we needed visas for Paraguay, the challenges started same time. We went to Miami to get the visas, and we spoke with the consulate. They knew we were coming. When we went, they took a day off.
Yep.
So we had to come back to Orlando. Then the next day, travel back down there to get the visas. And then, as Belinda explained, the challenges that we faced,
Not being
going, because we were the ones. We were the
the
smugglers.
5 Baileys.
We were the ones that had to be smuggled. Because we traveled on our Jamaican passports. So we had challenges there. But I must say that I remember one day somebody asked us to rate the trip, and I gave it a 2. It was out of 10, and I gave it a 2 because the challenges were so much. You know what I mean? We had to go through so much.
Thanks there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mama.
We had to go through so much. And as Belinda said, we are a resilient group, but it was a lot. So we had that, and I started even questioning whether or not this made sense. You know what I mean? When we went to Argentina and to get back into Paraguay, I was like, okay, this is it. Might as well you just leave us in Brazil and pick us up back on when we're going, because this don't make no sense at all.
Not
But I
happening.
must tell you, I was trying to see God's hand in all of this. And I remember leaving the Argentinians, the Paraguay side,
Paraguay
to
side.
go back through Argentina to the Brazil side. And I remember these men, we didn't see the aggressiveness of them until this happened. Then they brought out all the guns and everything, and you would think that we were smuggling contraband. And I was like, wow. And they were adamant that we had to go back that side. And so we went. On our journey back, I was frustrated. And as I said, somehow I was like, this doesn't make sense. Because here we are trying to go to help people. And this is what we're facing. But I must tell you, sometimes you have to stop and just watch and see God work. On our way through, we had the translator with us.
Okay.
And I could see that she was flustered. She didn't know what to do either, how to get us back. And we were there, and, God is so good. God sent a taxi man that was just driving through. And this man was also an Adventist. This man took us up. It was 6 of us and him, 7 in a car. He took us to the Brazilian consulate. And while we went there to get our documents stamped, he went ahead, found a next taxi man so that our journey could be a little easier. And they took us right to meet the bus. And I was like, look at God. I was like, wow, man.
Yep.
I was like,
Yeah, when they went through the Paraguay border, all the border patrol guys were just on their phones, didn't even look at the taxis, because they don't usually look at Brazilian taxis, they just let them through. And they were just so nondescript, and they just rode right through, and that's how we got them in.
So that was where I started imagining Paul's journey. You know what I mean? And I remember saying to somebody that, when everything ended, I said to someone that, what would a mission trip be without challenges?
Yeah, that's right.
And I said to Belinda, it would be a vacation.
And that would be a vacation.
That's what I said to her. It would be a vacation. So the challenges, they, for me, showed me how when God gave us, when Jesus left, he commissioned us to go and to spread the gospel. And this just shows me that when he gives us something to do, there will be challenges. But as he says, he will be there with us to take us through the challenges. Yeah. And I could see him taking us through the challenges. On the site, as Scott said, we had challenges in the first few days. We could not communicate with the guys. But eventually, and I must tell you, my daughter was trying to prepare for this trip. Milan started learning Spanish. I had no interest at all in learning Spanish. But then I realized when I got there, like the disciples on the day of Pentecost, we started speaking Spanish and we started communicating. And I was like, I said to myself, I think Melissa at one point said, wow, they're speaking Spanish. Because I was speaking to them in Spanish and they were understanding everything and we were communicating and the work just started rolling.
There you go.
Yeah?
There you go.
God showed up. And at the end, we saw God coming through. The mission was accomplished. Yeah. You know what I mean? And one other thing, we had the youth. One of the reasons why I chose to be a part of the youth thing is that I was a youth. And I know the issues I used to have as a youth. And I have children, and I have young adults. I have adults and teenagers. So I know that from these occasions, these trips, the lives of, I like to see the change in the lives of the youth. What happened after all of this journey, what they become. You know what I mean? Because you cannot do this and not have a story, not have a message to tell. And if you're sincere, it will change your life. It will change your life. So for me, it was a blessing. At one point, I thought it would have been a curse, but it worked out to be a blessing.
So there's still a 2, or did that go up? Did your score go up?
Yes, my score went up because I saw the hands of God.
To what? To what? Come on, I need a number.
It's still going up.
It's still going up. Good answer. Good answer. Actually, I think, Lauren, you asked some of the youth the one night, how would you grade it? And actually, a lot of you guys, you gave it a 9, 8 or a, yeah?
Literally.
You gave it a 9, and I was like, wow. Okay,
we had spent no time doing anything. We were sitting in airports all day, and the first day I was like, okay, you guys, I'm going to ask you this almost every day. And they gave it an 8. I was like, oh my word, I need to learn from them.
Okay.
Because they're like, we're with our friends. Why would it be less than that? Give us food and our friends, we're good.
Can you still say something, or did he cover it?
Well, I think Marlanda covered most of what I was going to say on behalf of the family. But one thing I must say, and this didn't happen overnight. It took me years to get to this point where everything that happens, no matter how small, every single thing that happens in life, I say, God knows why. I try to get to the point where I don't question God as much. The first night when we got the disappointment, I remember saying, God knows why. God knows why we didn't go on that flight. He knows why he's holding us back. We may never know, we may never get the answer as to why it happened. And I told some persons, I told the kids, we may never know. Some questions we may never get answered here, but God knows, he has the answers, and we may never, ever get the answer, but just put your lives out there in God's hand and say, God, just lead. So having that mindset at the start of the trip really helped. Because, as I was going, we were in the airport, we were stretched out, we were sleeping, the kids were sleeping. I'm like, God, you know why this is happening. We don't know. The bus broke down. God, you know why this is happening. So having that mindset, I think, helped, in everything. For me, construction, I've never done construction before, but my husband said, you're going to be in construction with me, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But it was so rewarding. Can I tell you, I didn't know I had it in me to, lift those blocks and to pour the mud. It was so rewarding. And just to see the faces of the persons, especially on Sabbath morning, Friday evening, when they were waiting for us to finish so they could wash the church and there was just this excitement. And I remember taking out my phone because I couldn't understand, and I, put the translator app on, and we were just talking. And there was one lady, I think she was the adventure director. Mm-hmm. She was so happy. She said, I just love you guys. And she was so, they started cleaning up. And when we got there on Sabbath morning, can I tell you, it was very emotional because they brought plants in. The church was transformed. Mm-hmm. And just to see how happy they were, welcoming everybody, it was very rewarding. And I can tell you, if you have not done a mission trip, you need to, because it does something to you. Just the mere fact that, you're helping to spread the gospel, you're helping to lead someone to Christ. You never know who will be led to that church. So it's a very rewarding experience. So I can tell you, if you have not done one, you need to. And just remember, one thing I took from this trip, patience. Mm-hmm. You have to be patient because each journey is going to be different. You don't know what journey you're going to end up on. You don't know what journey God is going to allow you to be on, but everybody's journey is different, and you just have to be patient and just know that God has your best interest, and He knows what's best, and He's not going to give you something that you can't handle. And, Belinda, you were a tower of strength. At one point, I was like, oh my goodness, I think she's going to lose it. But she, believe me, Belinda had everybody under control. She had everything under control. And, we really appreciate that because you really held us together as a group. And yeah, that's just my experience.
Only
I
God
wanted to say,
gives you the strength
I wanted
for
to say
that.
one thing about the Maranatha trip. I am a recipient of a Maranatha project. In Jamaica, where I lived in a community that there's a lot of gang violence and a lot of, it's very hard. And when I was about 14, Maranatha came there and they built a church. And I was a part of it. I helped doing the work and all of that. So when I came here and I got this opportunity, I gladly took it. And I can tell you, anybody has any doubt, what Maranatha is doing is transforming communities and the lives of people. That community has never been the same. It is a community now where, because we're in Jamaica where I live, we live between two universities. And that church has now become a university church. So the young people who come to university, most of them goes to that church. And it is well attended. The community has transformed, totally transformed. So I know that wherever these churches are placed, the community, the surrounding, the people will be better for it. Mm-hmm. And their lives will not be the same.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think Nada, you want to say a few words and then we'll close.
Okay, aside from the ministry that we're able to participate in spreading the love of Jesus and demonstrating God's love to wherever we go, one of the things I look forward most on mission trips is the unity it brings, even among us. I'm huge on family, and so any opportunities for family, whether intimate family or my extended family, such as my Markham Woods family, I jump at it as long as I'm able to. And so mission trip does that for me. And so when the opportunity opened, first it was supposed to be Aiden alone. Yes. And then I'm like, Belinda, okay. And here comes Diana and I. And I thank God for that. And my being Aiden being able, agreeing to go, this was his first mission trip, and I was totally excited about that. So talking about one of the challenges that we did not mention is the lost luggage.
Yep, the lost luggage.
Lost luggage, and that was Aiden's luggage, and I go, oh my God, his first mission trip, and he has no luggage. But I said, you know, shame on the devil. We danced on that because even that challenge that he brought to us to try to bring discouragement and doubt and frustration, it turned out a blessing because it enhanced, it added more to the cohesiveness of the group. Nick dished out socks and Gavin dished out shorts, and we made do. Aiden did not go a day underdressed or too cold for the weather. And I remember that and just wanted to share that and to say that, like Marlanda says, hey, all the challenges in everything, God has a hand in it, big or small, He is there with us. And his way is always best. And it doesn't matter what the devil throws at us. God is able to walk us through, to bring us through the fire, and the obstacles become celebrations.
Yep.
And so, in spite of all the challenges, we're looking forward to the next mission trip.
Yeah, so that's a great way to segue to the end. If any of you are interested in a mission trip, please talk to me. I have them in the bulletin listed for the future. We'll be adding more to that list because we'll keep the tradition of trying now to do about 3 a year. So just watch the bulletin. I'm happy to have you with us. If you cannot come with us, please support us, either financially or with your prayers. We'll take either. No pressure on either one, but we just are grateful to be part of a church that makes us a priority, and I'm grateful that you were here this evening to share this with us. I really appreciate it. It helps when you can share your experience with family. It just solidifies that experience and lets you relive the goodness of God. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to ask Doug if he will close in prayer for us, please.
I just want to say a couple words here before we have prayer. First of all, I want to thank all of you for going. There's something that something special happens, and some people even question whether we should be doing so much foreign mission because there's plenty of things we can do here. But there's something special, and I'm always convinced, and I don't know about you, but I personally look forward to these reports on the ones I don't go on. I don't know if I want to travel with this exact group again. Sounds like you guys had a little bit more adventurous trip than we just had. But just listening to the stories and seeing it as a pastor, it's just so special. And I think it's because the spirit of mission is the spirit of Jesus. And if you look at this group, we're not all from the same countries. We're not all Jewish background believers in Jesus. Somebody from the disciples had to go to another country and had to share. And Marlanda, thank you for sharing about what Maranatha has done for you. You know, this is only part of the story. I don't think we've accentuated enough that because of all those challenges, we know, I firmly believe when we get to heaven, this trip will be a significant event in the life of that community that you just went to. I just really believe that.
No question.
So to think that Markham Woods is doing that is just fantastic. I also want to thank Belinda publicly. She's leading out not just this trip, but the International Outreach Committee, which as far as I know, it's unique in the North American division because we have a comprehensive mission strategy for reaching people here and reaching people abroad in an intentional way looking at the missiological principles of even where the gospel still needs to go, which is the 1040 window, plus South America, plus we had a medical mission trip to Africa, and we've got some other things in store for Central Asia, a very difficult part of the world. Because of that, I don't know if you know, but I really appreciate, first of all, I want to also thank you for coming out. We weren't sure on a Vespers how many of you would come all the way back to the church, but it's such a special event. I'm so glad to see so many of you that came back for this. But I want you to understand what a special Seventh-day Adventist family we belong to. It's the most international Christian body on the planet. And in the back row, we have somebody, I want you to stand up, Vladimir. Vladimir is the former division treasurer for the Euro-Asian division.
Yeah.
Vladimir, come on, come on.
Vladimir.
He's a
You
very
gotta
humble
stand.
man, but stand up. He came out to hear this report because, well, I'll tell you here in a minute, the connection. But Vladimir is the reason why Markham Woods was able, and the Florida Conference was able to send $2 million to Ukraine during the war. Vladimir has connections there, and he made it possible, and Markham Woods had an outsized influence in the war effort with Ukraine. So, I mean, if you look at these footprints that God is leaving through what you guys are doing, what the church is doing as a whole, and God is bringing us people like Vladimir. We went on a mission trip to Ukraine, and we actually got an associate pastor out of the deal, Vasil. So when you see Vasil, that is a direct result of mission. He's a fantastic pastor, was a conference president there. Now, some of you don't realize we have a couple other distinguished guests here that listen to this whole report. We have Carlos Biaggi and Faroud Khoury. They are the president and the associate VP, one of the VPs of Middle East University with us tonight, our Adventist University in Beirut, Lebanon. And I worked
stand.
with Carlos's
Can they
dad, who was a
stand?
division president. Please stand up.
Yeah, so we can see you.
Yeah, I worked with Carlos's father, who was the division president in the Euro-Asian division in Moscow. And now he's in the Middle East University. We got together this week, and I told him we went to Paraguay and did a mission trip. He is married to a lady from Paraguay.
There you go. It's a small world.
So I would like to ask Carlos to come up and have our closing prayer, because he didn't have to come tonight. He's here on other business, but he wanted to come hear what Markham Woods had done. And he spends, I think you said, about a month a year in Paraguay.
8 years.
Oh, in 8 years, okay. Yeah, so again, you just look at all the ties that our international family has. So Carlos, would you mind coming up and just offering a prayer for this group? And we just appreciate you being here and appreciate the work. By the way, if you don't know what it's like to work in the Middle East, that is not an easy place. And the largest missionary sending bodies in the world church are Argentina and Brazil, I believe, for the work in the Middle East right now. So you look at the cross-pollination we have in the church of people going all over the world, and I thank you, Carlos, for answering that.
Sorry? The name of the town? Ponte Quita.
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind just offering a prayer for our group and for our mission and for the results of a country that's near and dear to your heart.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you because one day you sent Jesus to become one of us and die for us. And thank you because you call each one of us to join in your mission of saving the world. And thank you for this group of dedicated brothers and sisters who decided to spend their time and their money to go down to Paraguay to serve in this remote location. Thank you because through this new church, many people of that town will be saved. Thank you because despite the challenges, they can testify of your leading and your provision and your problem solving in each one of those situations, and in the same time we can be confident that you can solve every problem in our personal lives. We want to commit ourselves to you and to your mission, of saving 8 billion people of this world. And we want to ask that you lead each one of us to people nearby and far, according to your will. We thank you for the possibility to witness tonight what you did through this group, and we ask that many more mission trips can take place so that many more people can know you. In the name of Jesus, we pray and we thank you. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right, so next week, remember, after potluck, and that is, I know I looked late, just a few minutes ago, and there are about 50 of you watching online. That will only partially be online. I really highly encourage, if you're online and if you can come here, we have stories we just cannot tell online. And incredible stories of just, you can't deny that God was doing miracles just like you heard today. So come back next week. We'll tell you about the Armenia-Georgian trip, and thank you all for coming, and thank you once again.
Thank you. All right. Beautiful.